Hello, my name is Yanez-Pastor, and I'm with Cloudera. And just wanted to take a minute here to introduce myself. We have a gentleman So I'm going to talk today about building a customer marketing program from the ground up. And just wanted to share the agenda today, a little introduction about myself and company Cloudera, and then talk a little bit about sharing some of the best practices. I started out my career the first 16 years selling enterprise software. So I was a sales rep as well as you were, and then kind of made the jump over to sales enablement and then into customer marketing. So really, you know, I've kind of learned a lot of best practices along the way that I'd like to share, and interested in hearing any that you have as well. We'll talk about the program and building it and kind of scaling it out, starting with the platform. Platform like CrowdVocate is fantastic to use. It puts in place a layer that you can you know, engage and really drive a lot of collaboration across the organization and customers. And then we'll talk a little bit about the stakeholders. I hear some of you are in product marketing, so it'd be great to share some information. Storytelling, I just added in a couple of pieces that we've created over the last 6 months. And then lastly is really showing the metrics. So I shared a little bit about myself. I spent time in sales, moved over to enablement at EMC, where we were kind of building out our customer reference program and what that looked like. And then it was well established, well running. And then I took my team over into marketing to really drive the customer experience. So references, assets, you know, AR, PR activities, those are always something that you need to kind of keep the lights on. But how else can we help to promote the customer, engage with them along their journey? And then Cloudera is a cloud data platform. So we are looking at, you know, managing content from the edge to AI. That means, you know, as all the data comes into the data lake, how can you manage those insights, either real time, like within healthcare, or connected cars, or connected cities, or in retail, being able to look back and measure results based on the data from a promotion or year-to-year information. So we manage all of that in the cloud, and I've been with the company about 1 year and 3 months now. I came over from Hortonworks, so Hortonworks and Cloudera merged a little over 1 year ago. So I want to share some best practices with all of you, because I've tried many different things along the way, you know, starting out and building a reference program, and then really looking at a holistic approach, kind of that big picture of how to, you know, build it out to be global, how to scale, identifying kind of the key objectives within your own organization. Maybe that's key plays or go-to-market strategies, and how your customers can align to those. Is really great at putting the customer in the center. And then really that foundation is super important. You know, I've worked in large organizations. At EMC, it was 64,000 people globally. My division was about 6,000, but there's like 14 divisions across EMC. In Hortonworks, you know, we were about a 1,500 person company. In Cloudera, we're about 3,000 now. So just looking at how you can scale, even taking information and a program approach from the bottom and then working your way up, has been beneficial. Engaging stakeholders, super important, and I'll go into a little bit more detail there. Really being able to drive that, that knowledge and that information from your executives down, and then building the pipeline, so executing on your deliverables, you know, making sure that you're training your stakeholders so that they understand the value you bring and really the help that you need, and then showing the metrics. So, you know, within sales, we were always tied to that quarterly number, annual number. You need to really look at ways within your program that you can show maybe influence revenue through your programs, or, you know, driving additional things through campaigns by having your customers participate in a lot of different activities. So any questions there before I jump in a little deeper? Okay, great. So building the program from the bottom up. When I was at EMC, I was looking at like all the different things that we do. We had the reference platform. It was running great. We engaged heavily with the sales team to really get them to participate and nominate customers into the program, and that worked really well. I did a lot of trainings to help them understand what customer marketing is and the value to them. And then from there, you know, building out different components and ways to highlight the customer. So if you look at the right, you have kind of the executives, the IT and business leaders, all the way down to the lines of business. And those are kind of the different personas and how you can build out your programs and the different pieces to work across an organization. So, you know, CAB, customer advisory boards, are a great way to touch those C-level accounts. We also work with a lot of C-level customers when we're building out our big kind of storytelling videos. We actually go on site with the customer. We did one with Lufthansa back in Germany about 6 months ago, and we were at 3 different locations talking to their CIO, their CEO, their CTO, and really building out the story. And that's really promoting them and the different things that they're doing within their organization. Adding in things like events where you want to have your customers be part of keynotes. If there's opportunities where you have breakout sessions, being able to kind of engage and bring them into the fold, because it's not only highlighting what they're doing as an organization, but if you do it the right way, you know, your technology shines through on the back end without it sounding like a vendor pitch or a product pitch. And then, you know, looking at ways to engage with the customer, almost like putting together a promotional plan. And I'll talk a little bit about the different stages of a customer, but for example, if you have a customer and you're working with them on a customer story or a video, how can you then build out the social plan of promoting and blogging and getting it out that way? You know, how can you maybe highlight them on a webinar? You know, how can we do any PR activities or having them work with analysts? Really kind of casting that net far and wide. And then stakeholders, this is really important. I remember kind of early on, we thought of sales, professional services, SEs, and marketing teams. Those were our primary stakeholders. And they are, but if you kind of dive a little deeper under the covers, product marketing, we have engaged across the organization to seed in customers for launches. We are part of beta programs. So we just launched our CDP platform, which is a cloud platform in September. And just being able to work across, you know, I think we've got about 30 customers right now on the cloud, being able to work with them through the process till they get to the point of deployment and realize metrics. And then we can go back and build out those stories, because of course, all of us know within an organization when you launch a new product or platform, sales is like, okay, give me the customers now. I need a one-to-one call. I need to see, you know, what press releases, what stories do we have? Kind of getting into the fold early with those teams has been very valuable. We also work across our global industries team. Those folks are great because they're kind of that overlay to sales when they're going out and working with retail customers, with healthcare, oil and gas, really kind of, you know, getting in with the customer and helping us build out these storytelling pieces and making sure that when we're working with the customer, we're pulling out those really compelling, you know, impactful insights. We're also working across, like I said, our customer success team. When we're interviewing customers, we're asking them about their experience with professional services, with education, with our support, like a designated support engineer. So we really want to make sure that we are telling the full story of how they're engaging with our company, how we're enabling them to meet and exceed those business requirements, not only for the metrics that they see internally, but how has it enabled them to create a better experience for their customers? And then off to the right here, I apologize, it's a little small here. You know, early in my days, I always thought that, you know, references play a part, maybe kind of the last quarter of the sales cycle. But as we've seen the change, it's fairly early on. You can be working in the discovery phase with a customer and seeding in these great storytelling slides Being able to add in quotes from customers is very valuable. There's, RFPs. There is, kind of working with your teams. If they're rolling out maybe a new play, how can we kind of get those references and those stories into those components? And then, of course, the last piece, right, which is how do we drive those deals to close faster? How can we influence the revenue through, a one-to-one customer engagement? Those are really key. And then lastly is kind of building out those advocates. So really the storytelling and that relationship building can start from the beginning with the customer through a press release or putting their logo on the website. And then as they get deployed, it's engaging the stories. And then as they become advocates for you, those are the folks that are, the Commerce Bank, the Bank of Americas, the airlines that are speaking at your conferences via your keynote. So those are really valuable. And this is kind of...
How do you choose who's a good candidate to be a customer story or an advocate?
We try to tie it to our go-to-marketing strategy. But you also need to look at kind of the key industries that are important to your organization. Of course, those big names, right? Everybody wants the big names. But I always say, don't forget the little guys that are doing something super cool. They're kind of disruptive. They've got their eye on this ball that is rolling really fast. That's a great opportunity to showcase the customer as well.
At what point you work with the customer, is it the expectation that these are kind of areas that are going to work together?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So when the sales team nominates the customers into the program, or it could be product marketing, it could be field marketing, it could be, industry, we work with the sales rep to get on a 30-minute call with a customer. And there we introduce ourselves, talk a little bit about the program and the different activities that we have based on where they are in their journey. And then from there, we can kind of put together almost like a promotion plan, which usually has anywhere from 3 to 5 different activities, and they could span almost like a rolling thunder, right? So we can do something with them this month, and then 2 or 3 months down the line as they deploy and start seeing metrics, we can kind of build out different activities. Okay. Yes.
What does customer get out of it?
That's a great question, because back in the day of references, we always scrambled to try to figure out, okay, we can give them tchotchke, we can give them kind of our logoed, giveaways. We can offer them maybe discounts to training. We can offer them free passes to our conferences, and all of those are great. And I think a lot of folks like the free stuff, but when you get down to it, a lot of the customers are looking at either promoting their personal brand. So they've implemented a technology within their line of business. How can they share that out so that others kind of jump on board? So maybe they want to work their way up, the ladder of their career. Promoting their company is fantastic, right? So if you tell the story in a way that you're talking about the value and what drove the customer, your technology will shine through. And I think I've found over the past probably 7 or 8 years, they're a little bit more open to engaging. And even if you get a little bit of a roadblock, I'll tell you a quick story. We were working with the Bank of England, which is huge, right, in Europe and across the UK. They had a fantastic story of just being able to manage all of the data and content going back, 500 years. And how do we tell that story? How do we promote the things that they're doing to promote their organization and maybe kind of open up the doors for other customers like Royal Bank of Scotland or some of the larger banks in South Africa or in the U.S. And we were going, rolling around, got approvals to do a video. We're rolling along with a video and a story, got everything sent it over to them for approval, and then boom, PR, legal came down and said, nope, we don't do any of these things. So it's like, okay, let's, set up a conversation and discuss what we're looking to do. This is not a recommendation. It's not a brand. And we met with the team 2 or 3 times, and we really kind of opened up the door, and we were able to get all of that great storytelling published. So when you see a roadblock, hopefully it's just something that you can quickly navigate, through by having discussions with other parts of the organization to get that story told. And that was a fantastic win for the team. So I was real happy about that. when we're talking to the sales team and building out really knowledge and educating them, we really talk about the different things that we do within customer marketing, building that relationship and that networking piece, influencing, driving that connection, because a lot of customers that are attending conferences, they want to learn from each other. So they have an opportunity to maybe see someone who's presenting or meet up separately, and then all the different things that we can do to kind of celebrate their success and turn that into a story. Okay, I just have a few more slides here. I just wanted to highlight some of our stories. This is Searcher Seismic out of Australia, so for APAC, and what they're doing is they take data from seismic research that goes on, and it costs like $10 million to do a research. And what they do is they help oil and gas companies plan where they're going to put their wells. With the data that they receive and the insights, they're able to understand kind of, if you're looking at the ocean floor, what is a solid rock formation versus like a coral bed that spans across, because they want to make sure that they're, one, avoiding things that are going to harm the environment, and then building any type of wells or platforms on some solid ground that will kind of see through the impact of different things that happen in Mother Nature. We always kind of call out the customer. This is what we call our wow number here. And then we do like a landing page that has the challenge and results, and then it ties into kind of a PDF at the bottom. This is the Lufthansa video. If you ever go to Cloudera.com and go to the customer page, we're super proud of this video. It took a village to put together, and a great collaboration with the customer. And then one more piece I wanted to show you is we started building out what we call these use case slides. And these are fantastic. We've got over 200 created across our customers. We have, I think, about 90% are public customers. We have 10% that are private and anonymous. And these are fantastic for the sales team to be able to seed into their presentations. So this kind of goes along the line of when we're looking at building advocacy and helping sales drive, influence revenue and new opportunities, building out really great storytelling pieces in multiple formats, I think is very beneficial. So I'm interested to hear what everyone else has done as well.
So with 200 stories, how do you get the sales team to use them and find the stories?
Yeah, that's a great question. So train. So I actually will jump on. We have a Thursday enablement call where I'll spend like 10 or 15 minutes, usually once a quarter. I also jump on the RSDs or our RDS's calls, like their team calls that maybe has 20 or 30 people. I just joined our LATAM call last week in their QBRs, and really just kind of getting to everyone. I mean, the last 6 months, I've done over 50 trainings with sales. I'm also part of New Hire. So we kind of get in, when they're just starting the company, get into the newbies, make sure that they're aware of the resources that we have, what the team does, and then what, equally importantly, is what we need from them. Yeah.
I think another thing just on that is, if I can add, is explaining the process. Like, sales need to understand that when they want a reference, whether it's a customer story or a reference call or a video, the higher the matches. So for example, if this is, Diana gave an example of a bank. So if you're now talking to a prospect who is a bank, they want a reference with a bank. This story is great, but probably won't talk to the bank.
Right.
So they have to understand that the higher the match, it's a bank in the US, you want to give them a bank in the US. It's a small bank, you want to give them a small bank.
Right.
So you want to make the best match you can for the story. And they need to understand that, so they know that when they're looking for the story, whether they ask Diana, which is the greatest story we can have, or they go to a database to look it up, specifically like in our solution, Gravitate, we actually recommend the best story for that, but they need to understand that they have to select the best match, not always the best logo. Because, for example, again, Bank of America is a great name, but if it's now, I don't know, a small bank in Brazil, maybe they don't want to hear about Bank of America.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then just the last one is, show them the metrics, right? What's in it for me? What do you guys do? Sales, we're always tied to numbers. When we're in various roles within marketing, it's how do we kind of show our value, right? So educating the sales team. And I really look at it as, reference selling. And I know that word is thrown around a lot. It's been here forever. I've been in the industry 30 years. But it does help to just kind of seed that in with your customer early on. And then also just being able to, increase deal size and have them close faster through those storytelling pieces. And then, the customer experience is truly putting the customer at the center of everything that you do. And it's not just a one and done approach. And that's why I wanted to cover off on kind of the journey from the start to advocacy. And then if they kind of come in and buy some new solution of yours, they almost kind of go back into the fold, right? So you're always constantly having this loop of your customers and engaging with them throughout the different stages, which really helps to reduce churn. And then, putting them at the center of everything from product launches to webinars, campaigns that we've done with the customers. I don't know if any of you are familiar, but every year, I think it's the first Tuesday of October is what's called Global Customer Appreciation. And organizations celebrate the customer across the world. And we've done things like we've had videos that we've created internally of our employees talking about, what does customer experience mean to us, to having panels of customers and partners coming in. And that was moderated by our CEO and just really celebrating. We did a Rolling Thunder approach last year where we highlighted stories about 4 days before. We did a webinar the day of, and we thanked all of our customers globally, especially the one that was on the webinar with us. And then we had about 2 or 3 more stories that followed after the day. So it's different ways, new approaches are coming out all the time. So trying something new and sticking to that, or maybe just, trying it once. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then moving on, just being aware of all the different things that you could do and ways that you can engage with your customer. And then last piece is just really, the awards and recognition piece. It usually falls on like October 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. It's the first Tuesday in October. Yeah.
I never heard that.
Yeah. So I belong to many different organizations, including yours.
Okay.
And Customer Experience Professional Organization. I've been a part of them since 2013. And they've really helped to just kind of educate and network and bring customers together. But it's a fantastic thing I've been doing for 4 years now. So yeah. And yeah.
The tracking influenced revenue, how do you go about that for all the different pieces?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So our team, we also do manage an executive briefing center. So, when we're looking at the different types of meetings that we have, they're always tied to an opportunity. And we can, once that opportunity closes, and if they had an ABC with us, then we look at, how that dollar amount is kind of in the category of influenced. Same goes for reference activity. We track all of the reference requests that come in. So looking at, how we were able to, either, help the reps seed customers for an RFP. And then as it got further along in the cycle, how that turned into an opportunity that maybe we engaged 1 or 2 customer-to-customer conversations. And then when it closes, looking back at that opportunity and how we helped influence. And we report that on a quarterly basis. So you can't really say like, hey, we helped close $10 million. But you can say, hey, you know what, your customer went to the EBC over the course of 6 months. We did, 2 reference calls with them. We helped you with the RFP. And, we helped influence some portion of the amount of money. Yeah, so that's been a great metrics, those areas that we've used as well.
Fascinating presentation. Thank you for that.
Okay, sure.
Question I have is, could you tell us about the size of the organization? Obviously, a lot of areas developed. And what are the core skills that are needed for those of us who want to jumpstart such program?
Yeah.
And also the third one is the sort of reporting structure. Does it make sense to have it report to marketing, or you've seen actually other reporting alternatives?
Usually it's customer marketing, so it's within the marketing umbrella. So Cloudera we have 3,000 employees. We have probably about 2,500 customers within that range globally, across all different industries. Really, anywhere from, we've got a gentleman on our team who's a reference manager. So he's in charge of kind of managing all the customer references. We have a couple of writers on our team. So, building out those compelling stories and making sure, when you're building those stories to work across, whether it's, product marketing or whether it's your industry team, to kind of get some feedback from them to make sure that you're in your story, you're hitting on all of the key areas to promote the customer's solution. And then we also have someone who's on our team who's manages the executive briefing center, the customer advisory board, and then we have this executive sponsorship program that we're launching as well. Yeah. Just for example, I work primarily with our global sales team, our partner team, PS, SEs. Primarily, I do all the training for the team, and then I also work across our field marketing. There's a great alignment with customer marketing and field marketing because they can help in the cases where, hey, I've reached out to the sales rep 6 times for, these 3 huge accounts that they have, and they're just totally ignoring me. Your field marketing partner can kind of help build that engagement. Yeah.
So just to continue his question, is your organization aligned along the verticals, or is it like more you guys are?
So we're when you say verticals across the industries, yeah. But then we have it's almost like a vertical and a little bit of a horizontal play as well.
Okay.
Yeah, like cloud is across everything, right? We have some things like our data, what we call like a data in motion, which is kind of real-time streaming versus data that comes in like from a report that's stagnant versus the real time is like,
activities would really help create the best event and have all the customers come together to tell the story.
Yeah, and that really depends on where they are in the journey. So for example, if they're a new customer, you probably wouldn't say, hey, let's do a webinar, because they are maybe just deploying. And then once they deploy, it's maybe 3 months down the line where they're actually going to start to see some results where you can say, hey, did you save, $1 million? Or have you reduced your process time by 50%? You want to kind of get those golden nuggets because those are the things that really help sales kind of drive the technology. And for the customer themselves, those are great data points that they can share with you. So the webinar is usually, let me go back to this slide here. Am I okay on time?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to go back here. I don't want to monopolize though. Maybe I go back to the slide here. So this is probably.
You have the lasers in you.
Okay. I can just. If someone's going to do a webinar, they're probably going to fall within this area here, because the champions are those that have already maybe created or are creating activities with. The webinar is really to kind of, showcase what they have already seen or achieved. I can't drive too many technical things at once.
No worries. Any other questions?
Well, thank you so much. I want to understand and learn from all of you. Appreciate it.